Hi everyone, it's Shannon and welcome to today's video. So I'm really excited because I got the brand new Anastasia Beverly Hills Rose Metals palette. So I rarely get palettes right when they launch. I usually wait for other people's reviews, but I saw this one and this one I had to have. And then as soon as I got the email for the pre-sale on Anastasia's website, I immediately purchased it and I got it today. I couldn't wait to dig into it. So we're gonna go over it right now. So Rose Metals is just like the Nouveau palette. So I have that one here. They are exactly the same size, and then the pan size are also the same. So I really like that when they are the same. I think that Anastasia is going with this layout now, which I particularly love. I love this formula, and it was getting this palette that convinced me to pre-purchase this one, because this one I waited for everybody else to get. Everybody else was raving about it, so I ended up purchasing it and I love it. And one of the funny things is I never thought I would use this purple shade. I use that shade a lot. So I love this palette. It's different, it's unique. And so when I saw the Rose Metals, I thought the same thing. And I have to say, I really don't have anything like it. So let's go get into the shades. Well, first of all, this palette is a lot grungier than I was anticipating, and I'm not mad about it, but it's a little bit out of my comfort zone, but it is a little grungier. It's a smoky fall, palette. So I think it's perfect for fall, but it's definitely grungier. Now I went in with the shades Ashes, Dune, Haze, and then Heavenly. So Heavenly is the one I'm using in the inner corner and the brow bone. I went with Ashes is my transition shade, Dune as the smoke out shade, and then Haze I used on the lid. Now Dune, interesting enough, after I applied it, I was looking on the package, and Dune is one that has the infamous eye warning, where you're technically not supposed to use it near the eye. I typically don't get allergic reactions to colors, and I use that one and I've had no reaction. I even use it on the lower eyelid, so I have had no reaction. The only one I've ever had a reaction to is a ColourPop palette, but typically I don't. So we'll go through the shades, but that is a little warning. That one does have a warning, but again, I didn't have any reaction. One of the things I like about this palette is it's 12 shades, and I kind of feel like it's divided into 3 quads. I know you could probably use any of the shades and they kind of combine. I used these 3 and then I used the Heavenly shade, but I feel like it's really, I look at this and I'm not overwhelmed. It's got a lot of color, muted color, but it's got color, but it's compartmentalized, where if I look at it, it's easy for me to kind of, okay, this is what I'm gonna do. Definitely you can mix and match once you start, get into the palette, but that's one of the reasons why I really like this palette. So let's get into the shades. Okay, so I'm just gonna go ahead and swatch them on my arm right here. The first is going to be Rose Quartz, which is the first shade. This is Rose Quartz, and Rose Quartz is described as a metallic pink champagne with sparkling reflex. Next up is going to be Royal, and Royal is a sparkling burgundy with pink reflex. Okay, next up is Haze, and Haze is described as a metallic silver gold with multi-dimensional reflex. Next up is Rose Fire, and this is a metallic fiery copper with multi-dimensional reflex. Next up is SUNROSE, and SUNROSE is described as a matte peachy brown with sparkling reflex. And finishing out the top row is going to be Nova, and Nova is described as a metallic golden bronze with multi-dimensional reflex. Okay, starting with the second row, this is Heavenly, and this is a metallic platinum gold with multi-dimensional reflex. Next up is Element, and Element is a metallic rosy brown. Okay, next up is Ashes. Ashes is a matte grayish taupe with sparkling reflex. This is what I used is my transition shade. Next up we have Dune. Dune is the one with the warning, and Dune is described as a matte rustic brown. Next up we have Nocturne, and Nocturne is described as a metallic gray stone with sparkling reflex. And then finally we have Noble, and Noble is described as a matte plum brown. So there you have the palette, and as you can see, it's definitely grungier and I think cooler than I expected. Okay, so on the Anastasia website, it's described as featuring rich mattes and high reflex shimmers. Rose Metals palette delivers 12 all new shades dosed with ultra-glam, nostalgia, and iconoclast confidence. I don't know what iconoclast is, but it sounds pretty cool. This, honestly, you can see when it's swatched beautifully, very, very smooth. None were kind of, a dud. Like I said, I went in with Ashes on, it's my transition shade. I did make a short of this, so if it's not up already, I will post a link either below and right up here to the short, and you can kind of see how I got the look. But pretty much I used Ashes as the transition, Dune as the smoky shade. I went in with HAZE on the lid and then heavily on the brow bone and the inner corner, like just my basic staple, how I do my eyeshadow, not going, because I don't get creative with that. I love it. I think this palette it's easy. And honestly, I was looking in my collection and I don't have anything to compare to. I really don't. I love the new Anastasia formula. I had kind of, I will say, outgrown the old formula. I really liked it, and then I just realized I was never using them. So I ended up decluttering all my other Anastasia palettes because I wasn't using them. And I just wanted to, kind of, I didn't want them to go to waste. So I ended up decluttering all of them. But when I got the Nouveau, it's a different formula. I loved it. It's definitely a different, and this is in continuation. Like, I think they are very different, but they complement each other. I think this is a perfect fall palette. I just can't say enough good things about it. I think it's very different. Again, I took a look at some of the other, palettes that I have, and this doesn't really, I'm sure you could probably dupe a shade or two here and there, but I think they're very different, and the mixture, it's just a very versatile, easy palette to work with. So this is $55 on the Anastasia website. It's also on Sephora now, and it's on Ulta. It's also going to be on other websites. So I'll post links below to all of them. But if you are thinking about getting this palette and you're like me and you're kind of waiting for reviews, this one, if you like it, I think it is definitely one to get this year. Again, I don't get every palette that comes out. I also don't get every palette when they launch. But this one I saw, I immediately had to have it, and I think it is spectacular. So highly recommend, and I'm going to continue to use it. So with that, if you like this video, click like, click and subscribe. That way you get a notification every time I post a new video. Bye everyone.